Well, I think that in his own right, Salah is a great player. I think he's a legend of the Premier League. I think people won't really understand what he has been able to do in the Premier League until he leaves. Maybe 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, people will look back and see the enormity of what he has done. But at the same time, I think that if you are saying Salah has matched Henry's legacy, you are basically saying Salah is the greatest player the Premier League has ever seen. Do you genuinely think that? Is Salah the first person that comes to your mind when you think of Premier League greats or the greatest in the league? I don't think so. I think as much as he has done so much, is still there's still something missing. Yes, yes. I think he's that's going to happen because as you know, when the players that we connect more with are players from our own generation from when we were kids because you look at footballers and they're just like larger than life and all of that. But you know, again, you have to look at players defining a generation, right? Thierry Henry defined this generation. When you look back and talk about the 2000s era, the first name that comes to your mind is Thierry Henry. For Salah's generation, I'm not sure it's that undisputed. I'm not sure it's that unanimous with Salah. I think you probably say Kevin De Bruyne, and maybe one or two other names. But for Henry's time, Henry was the guy for his generation. And even though he played in a team that didn't win half as much as the Manchester United team, it says a lot that he was widely considered the greatest already in that time. I think that's the difference. And also beyond that, there's always the element of magic. The magic that Thierry Henry produced every week. Salah has produced magic himself, but I think the level of magic is kind of what separates it. Of course, we had the Salah Hazard debate for a long time before Hazard left and then retired, and that was a legitimate argument in itself when it was happening. And but I just feel that Thierry Henry is at a higher level from every pretty much everybody that ever played in the Premier League.
Why do you think the Salah Hazard debate is a legitimate debate? I mean, if you look at
I
the
said it
numbers,
was.
okay, it was, but
It
if you look at
was.
the numbers, which influence a lot of the conversations of football that we
Yeah.
have today, they are miles, in fact, worlds apart, not just miles apart.
Yeah.
If you look at the achievements as well, probably the only thing that Hazard right now has over Salah is maybe the number of Premier League titles. You understand? So
Mm.
why do you think there was actually legitimacy to those claims?
There was because both players were top players who were doing it at two clubs that were on top and basically battling for titles and all of that. And we know that for Hazard, it was much more than the goals. The perception of Hazard. In fact, the Hazard Salah debate can be broken down into the whole magic versus. It's not like Salah didn't produce magic, but magic versus numbers.
So pure
Cons-
football versus
Pretty much, that's what it still comes down to. Some will say, "Oh, I'm a purist. Hazard appeals more to me because he did this and this and this," and some would say, "Oh, forget about that purist nonsense. Salah has delivered like this. He has been consistent. He scored goals. But the reason why Thierry Henry is special in himself is that he did the numbers. He gave you the numbers and he gave you the magic. So if you are for pure football, Thierry Henry is your guy. If you want to say numbers, Henry every season he was doing 20 plus goals in the league. He did 30 at some point. He did assists for fun, and he was a striker. Still being able to create and just produce magic. And even when he wasn't scoring, he was a problem. There was a fear factor with Thierry Henry that I don't think Salah has. Maybe Salah had it in like his first season when he scored 44 goals or so in all competitions. But I don't think Salah's fear factor, and I think that's something that also matters a lot in these debates about greatness and all of that. That fear factor that if you were facing Thierry Henry a week before the game would happen, you'd be having nightmares because that's what Thierry Henry embodied. He was just scary like that.
Eden Hazard also had that fear factor.
Yes, he did, which is why that debate persisted for as long as it did. But we all know that by the time all is said and done, I think you wouldn't be able to say put Salah and Hazard for Premier League legends on the same level, because I think Salah will retire with more goals, more assists, and a better standing in the greatness debates for the Premier League, especially if he wins another title. So yeah, that's what I think.